asking about Maven build tool. Using Maven build tool, did you deploy any application? So if you deploy application, so which are the application you deployed?
We deployed actually web-based applications. We right now we are doing one migration project, so which means we have that source code, so we are directly deploying from Jenkins server to the Kubernetes production area. For that we have created one pre-prod area. So there we are deploying directly. We are using Jenkins as a server, and we connected a Kubernetes cluster as well to this Jenkins server. We have created a pipeline job for this. There we are using actually Maven as build tool.
Pipeline means are you creating a Groovy script and you're doing deployment? Am I right?
Yeah. For that also we have created one pipeline script. Actually, I only wrote that pipeline script, so finally client approved that with minor changes. So we are following it the same.
Okay. Is it right in Groovy script?
Yeah, we can write it.
No, you write it that Groovy script, no? So did you write it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Groovy? Why you using Groovy?
It is like for automation actually. So it communicates with the Jenkins server, so it automates the job actually. Otherwise, we can create a freestyle job, freestyle jobs, so we can do it as manually. So to save our time, we are using Groovy as scripting language.
Yeah. Do you know? Can you explain about feature of JDK offers? JDK offers. What are the features JDK offers for Groovy?
JDK offers, you like to install Java?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm asking about what are some features does Groovy JDK offers? Groovy law for the JDK. So what are that?
No, sir, I don't have an idea.
Okay.
Actually, to be honest, I don't have super good knowledge on Groovy, but I'm trying to learn all this.
I'm asking a question. If doesn't also no problem. You will find.
Yeah.
In my pipeline, I have an issue. So my job got failed. So at the time, what are the issues? Did you face any issues like your job failed and you are troubleshooted? So what are the applications you troubleshooted in the pipeline and did you resolve it?
Yeah, like if I write stages like this, so if any server problems or any network latency problems, or otherwise sometimes few jobs takes so much time, so that time also that the latency issues will come. Otherwise, if there is any issue, we'll check that log actually. We will check that console output. There we can see any problem is there, so it detects that problem. Based on that only we'll troubleshoot that problem. Sometimes Sonar, sometimes plugins problem would be there. Otherwise, any global, like if you have installed Maven, so sometimes Java didn't install in our server, so that time also it triggers that error. So sometimes we need to troubleshoot like it is problem with source code or it is problem with our infrastructure servers. So based on that only we will approach.
Okay. What is the purpose of pipeline are you using? What is the purpose?
Pipeline project you are asking for?
Not project, I'm asking a pipeline. What is the use of pipeline?
Pipeline actually, it is like it determines the stages in our project actually. So which means CI/CD process, pipeline only determines. So we'll check our stages, each and every stage it will be there. So it is like it will take our source code from GitHub repository and it builds our packages or artifact. Finally it stores into another environment. It is like a process actually. Each and every stage pipeline defines actually. So and also pipeline is like a automation process. So why it is like we can identify if it is there any problem with the stage, so immediately we can identify that problem with pipeline only. So that benefit it will have.
Okay. What are the life cycle of Maven?
Maven usually 7 life cycle will be there, like goals will be there, like verify, test, install, package, deploy. This kind of Maven goals will be there.
Okay. What is Maven? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Maven validate is also one stage I forgot to tell you.
Okay. So, if what is form.xml in Maven?
Form.xml is whenever we create a new project, whether it would be a Java project or a web-based project, so whenever we create a project, so form.xml file will be created automatically. Which means this contains all our configuration details like project IDs, group IDs, and any dependencies needed in this. So it will contain all these details in form.xml. So if you want, yes sir, that's it.
That's it. Okay. What is the location Maven file saving the server?
.m2 directory will be there. Local .m2.
So I'm going for the commands in the Maven. So what is Maven command or a dependency? What is the purpose of Maven dependency command used?
Dependency command? No sir, no idea.
Okay. Did you have any idea on commands? You do not have any commands again, correct? You do not have any commands experience.
Commands this Maven commands usually we don't do sir, because usually we'll write goals like mn clean deployer. This kind of goals we'll write in Jenkins itself. So apart from that, whenever we want to check any directory or form.xml.
Second, that's what I'm asking. Maven clean, and validate package. That was the command. Why use that thing and all? Why, example, if you were saying about Maven deploy. So what is the purpose of deploy?
Deploy in the sense, suppose it will have each and every stage, like it will take our source code, it will validate, test, and with our test cases, and it will finally package, so, and also install it, install in our local area. So once it is done, so finally it goes to deployment stage. So our source code needs to deploy actually. So this will help us to deploy in another environment. This is a goal for us actually. So that's why we'll use mn clean deploy. So whenever we give this goal, and whenever we give our another environment details in Jenkins server, so it will take the test input and finally it deploys to the other server.
Why use for validate?
Validate once it is testing is done, actually it will validate the source code. Like I think Sonar will help us in it. I don't have much idea on it.
In Jenkins, what is that global tool? Why are you using global tool?
Global tool actually. Suppose whenever we installed any plugin in Jenkins, so usually each and suppose in our server Maven is didn't install, so we can use global tool configuration. So there we can give our Maven details. There are two options will be there. Maven will be installed automatically, or Maven, we should give that version name as well. So whenever we give those details like Maven or Sonar, whatever it is, those plugins once installed, so those details will come into the job configuration details. Once we install there, I mean, which means it will be installed in our server itself. So those details will we can find it out in our configuration details. So we can use the same same version of that Maven. For example, I'm telling you as Maven, so that will be helpful in that case.
Okay. In Jenkins, what is CI/CD?
CI/CD is like continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment, we can say. CI/CD is like continuous integration means in a single sentence, it takes our source code from remote repository and generates an artifact and storing it to a particular environment. Actually, this is called continuous integration. Here we will use Git and GitHub plugin for taking a clone a source code from remote repository, and as well as Maven as build tool, and this is another integration. And we'll integrate Sonar, we'll integrate Nexus, we'll integrate any Ansible server over there. So we'll integrate all these servers as in a single Jenkins server. So there it creates and it will deploy into the final stage immediately. Like whenever we create a job, it will be deployed to the immediate. It's a quick task actually. So before that waterfall model, it will be different. It was different actually. So here we'll use Agile. In Agile, we'll use this continuous integration. We'll use Jenkins as tool actually.
What is Artifactory?
Artifactory.
One minute. I'll explain that one. It is not Artifact. It's Artifactory.
Okay. Artifactory in the sense of where we store our artifacts, that will be called as Artifactory actually.
So my job is running, it is completed, so there will be a war file or jar file will be created.
Yeah.
You got it? Yeah. Okay. So my war file will be, so it will be every time it will be overwritten. Correct. When my job example, one I have a job, so again I am running a job. So is it the existing file will be there or it will be overwritten the file?
It won't be override, sir. Usually each and every executor will have different details. So from there we can find it in.
Correct. I'm asking about my job.
Okay.
One example, test job is there. So I'm running that job. So I have made the changes in that code, and it will trigger a job automatically.
Okay.
At the time, previously it was created a var or jar file. It is there available in the server. Okay. So again it will be like same file only. So it will be overwritten or the existing will be there. How it will be?
Overwritten, sir. If it build succeeds, then it will be overwritten.
So existing old file will be where it will be saving.
Yeah.
I'm asking about where the old file will be available. Overwritten means what about the old file?
It is also will be there, sir. For example, Nexus, that blob storage will be there. So from there we can restore that old file. It will be there definitely.
You want to say about all the jobs will be saving in the Nexus.
That yes. That option will be there. Restore option in blob storage. All artifacts will be stored in blob storage only. From there we can restore back.
In Jenkins, I have one concept like there will be a master and save concept. So what is the purpose of we are using that?
Suppose in real time actually, suppose in release mostly like in release time we'll have much load like 60 to 70 jobs will be there. So if we run those jobs simultaneously or parallelly, so that will be huge load will come on Jenkins server. So to avoid that concept, so we'll we can create nodes in Jenkins server, and we can use this as master and slave concept. So finally Jenkins will be the master, and nodes we can create separately. Suppose we can create AWS instances as nodes, and we can create communication between these nodes and master through SSH. So once we create this all, once we create this all, that would not be problem. That load problem would not be there. And whenever we want particular jobs should run on particular nodes, we can create in configuration details. We can give this node details and all. So that in that way, this will be helpful. Master and slave concept.
Okay. One more thing is, in Jenkins, did you write any script to deploy any jobs? Any shell script, Python, any script?
Yeah, this Groovy only I'm writing actually. Shell script in starting of my career, I know this and all, but almost from last 2 years we are not using. So actually, yeah.
No worries, that will be okay.
Yeah.
So okay. In Jenkins, my integration will be happening automatically. Where did the confidence details you are giving the Jenkins console? Suppose you are running a job, correct?
Okay.
You are running a job. My code is pushed into the master. It will automatically integration will be happening, and Jenkins server will be deploying test case and what are the code everything.
Yes.
So, yes. In the Jenkins job configure item, what are the configuration you are doing the Jenkins side to automate?
We will write a pipeline job for this. Like the Jenkins file will write for this. So whether we can write in a pipeline job as well, otherwise we can take it from remote repository like Jenkins file. So in 2 ways we can write it. Otherwise, apart from this automation, we can create a new freestyle job as well. So there we should give all these details as manually. Otherwise, we can create a pipeline through script.
On GitHub, so what are the activity you are working on GitHub?
We'll be creating branches, and actually my on daily basis I don't have much activities on GitHub, but almost 6 months back I used to do one project actually. There I used to create branches, and I used to handle pull requests and finally match into the master. So and whenever developer approaches me, so based on that requirement only I will do this. And sometimes actually in development cycle, so I used to support I used to push their code to remote repository sometimes. That is very rare case, so sometimes only. So this kind of
Python and the shell scripting you have only basic knowledge, right?
Yeah. Python I learned on my personal interest I learned this, sir, but I never applied to our DevOps lifecycle actually.
So Docker, I'm going to Docker now. So what is Docker?
Docker is a containerization tool, and we can say it is advanced to the virtualization. And here we'll create containers. We'll write a Docker file we'll write a Docker file with our instructions as per Docker policies. And after that we'll build images, and after that we can run images to create a container. So finally it will be helpful to create a container. Container means it can be a service or application, whatever it is. So we can do this with help of Docker actually. So it will be a good for portability, portability benefit will be there with help of Docker.
What is Docker container?
Docker container is like a space of an running image, or actually we can say it consists of our code. It will be run as a service actually. We can say like this.
What is what is the command to check the running container?
Docker PS.
What is Docker image?
Docker image, through this Docker image only we should create a container, and to image is it will have a source code, whatever the changes would be there, or whatever the needed requirement would be there. So we can build an image actually. So through this image only, container should be created actually.
Okay. What is Docker file?
Docker file helpful to create a image, create a image for with help of a Docker file. So here we'll have few instructions like from run, copy, and entry point to cmd add. This kind of instructions will be there. With help of this we can write a Docker file. After this we can create an image. We can build an image.
What is Docker engine?
Docker engine, yeah, tell me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Docker engine only.
I don't have much idea on this, but it is actually the background process, I think. So it generates and it executes all our commands.
Okay. I have running in my container. I need to log in that running container. What is the command?
The running container docker exec and -it and that container ID if you give, so it will be we can log in into the container.
So I need to come out from the container without existing. What is the command?
Okay. We can use a control A, and if you give X, so we can come out.
Container, how to check the container logs?
Suppose you have whenever you have container ID, so Docker logs that container ID. Docker logs are enough for container ID.
Okay. My container it's not responding. So what are the issues to be come up, and I need to again what are the issues we face for the container are not running. So what are the troubleshooting going to do?
If container is not running, then there would be maybe any problem would be there, not with the image in Docker file. There would be particularly in Kubernetes we can find the labels and selectors, so that problems will be there. Otherwise this container is any configuration or dependency files were missing. Otherwise any our main in image few files were missing. Otherwise in our input file if are missed those files, so it will not be running. So we have to check our logs to find this what error in it.
I want to check the running as well as existing container. So what is the command?
Docker ps -a.
Okay. Did you hear about the Docker Swarm? Do you have any experience?
Yes, no experience on it, sir, because we are using Kubernetes production. So just I know very basic idea on it. Just almost it is same to the Kubernetes production only, Kubernetes clusters only. It is like orchestration, but it is completely related to the Docker. But Kubernetes is it is like a Google product. It is different environment.
In the Docker file, so I have run under cmd I'm using. So what is the purpose of those two?
In Docker file, run will be helpful while building an image. It will execute while building an image, and cmd will execute while running an image. So this is the main difference between these two commands, instructions.
Okay, what are the Docker compose?
Docker Compose, like whenever we want to run multiple services as a single container, I mean we can so that we can create a Docker Compose file for this. So we can write our services names with help along with the image names and all. So there we can run multiple services as single.
I have the running container. I need to take that as an image. Running container. I need to take the image. So what is the command?
Okay. Running container. No sir, no idea.
I need to delete container. So what is the command?
Delete a container, right? So docker rm and container, right?
Image for image.
For image, docker rm.
So what is the command to run the Docker file?
For Docker file, Docker build. I mean to build an image, right? Yeah. Docker build -it and that Docker file path and as well as image name as well. We should mention.
Okay. So I'm going to Kubernetes. So what is the purpose of Kubernetes?
Kubernetes is a orchestration tool, so it helps us once Dockerized applications were there to manage those applications like containers and all. We'll use Kubernetes as an orchestration tool. So here we can monitor and we do health checks and all, and we can see our application whether it is running or not. So a complete orchestration will be there with help of Kubernetes.
3 types of services there, no Kubernetes. What is the 3 types of service?
Different installations, right?
Services. I'm asking about 3 types of services.
Okay, services. Services for cluster IP, node IP, and load balancer.
Why use for cluster IP? Use for cluster IP.
Cluster IP will help us like whenever we want to expose our application inside the cluster, so it will help us. Cluster IP.
Okay, node port. What about node port?
Node port it exposes our application to the internet. I mean it creates one node, like for example 31328, like any port node, it will create a node port. It will create. So finally it exposes our application to the outside of the cluster and to the internet as well.
Load balancer.
Load balancer actually in pods and all we'll have multiple networks, right? IP addresses and all. So it will collaborate all the IP addresses. It creates one final public IP, whatever public or private one IP it creates. So it helps us to expose our application to the outside actually.
What is kube proxy?
Kube proxy, it manages the network communication between our worker nodes. So it will help on network communication.
What is the use of the kubectl?
Kubectl is like we can use this as a command line. Like we can connect our API server. We should use this kubectl only. Through kubectl, like we can say this as head of command. So we can do any updates or any updates will be there. So we can use this kubectl like a quick for a quick thing.
Kubelet.
Kubelet actually it manages our worker nodes and pods actually in worker nodes. It completely related to a component in the worker node. So it manages our pods.
What is pod?
Pod is a least unit in Kubernetes cluster. So pod may have containers one or more than one container consists.
etcd?
etcd is like a data store, so it will store our complete data of the Kubernetes cluster. So like for example, config files, secrets, and any configuration dependencies file, everything will be stored in etc only. It is one of the main components in Kubernetes architecture.
What are the features of Kubernetes?
Features?
Yeah, correct, exactly.
Features like we can monitor our application, we can deployment, any upgrades, any role, suppose any wrong was there, we can do rollback. This kind of features we have.
What is API server?
API servers, it manages our pods information, and it creates communication and scheduling. Everything will be handled by this API server only. This is one of the first approach. Whenever we give our details, it should go through API server only. First, it takes our requests and it will execute to our cluster and all.
Okay. So, what is horizontal pod scale up? Auto scale up?
Scale up, actually we can do a replicas for these pods. So for that we can do scale up. If we have replicas 3 and we want to do a 4 replicas for this, we can do scale up. So we can use a addo command. Otherwise, while deploying the application only, in that manifest file we should write these replicas.
Okay, what is secret?
Secret consists actually a sensitive data of for example, username and password will be there. So we don't want to display those details to the other user or other namespaces. So we then that time we'll use this secret. So we'll store these secrets into the etcd database.
Control manager.
Control manager actually it creates our whenever pod dies, so sometimes pod will be failing due to the different reasons. So in that time, instantly it creates another replica with the same pod information. So in that time, this will help us, replication controller will be there, replication set will be there. This kind of rules will be executed by controller only. This will control our entire cluster actually.
Okay. What is the components of this Kubernetes?
Components API. First would be this will be divided as master and worker node. So coming to master node, API server, scheduler, control manager, and etcd will be there. And coming to worker node, kubelet, kubeproxy, and pods, and everything. This kind of components will be there.
What is the use of headless service?
Pardon, sir?
What is the use of headless service?
Headless service?
Yeah.
No, sir, no idea.
Scheduler? What about scheduler?
Scheduler actually, so whenever we pod information is there, so when we give our pod information, so when we want to apply a service to the particular pod, so it will schedule the same service information to the particular pod actually. So based on labels and selectors, it matches. Whenever it matches, so this scheduler only will help us to apply those service to the particular pod information.
Okay, what are the ports running on the master?
What are the ports running on the master? That depends, sir. Suppose example 32, that depends actually. We can't say that. For example, 8080 will be there, or else 32125 will be there. Based on that only.
Why is the namespace in containers?
namespace, right?
Right.
Yeah. Actually, whenever we want to share our cluster to the to the different environments, like whenever we want to share our cluster into the different like when we want to divide our cluster, so we can create these namespaces, like we can allocate to dev environment or a testing environment, something like, for example, I'm telling you, so this namespace only will be useful actually for that. So reserved some result. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. For reserved, some memory would be there, and some configuration also would be there for this. We can write our manifest file for this.
Okay. What is deployment?
Deployment, in the sense, it is like the first stage of application deployment in the Kubernetes area. So here we'll mention like how many replicas we need, and from what image, from what container, and from which source code we have to deploy. Finally, the first approach will be this only. Whenever you want to deploy our application into the production area, the first approach will be deployment object actually.
What is the difference between stateful set and deployment?
No, sir, that stateful I don't have idea.
Ingress, what is ingress?
Even ingress also I don't have much idea, but it is related to front end actually. Front end, it actually routes that requests to our cluster, so it reaches our pod information, so it takes our pod information or exposing details, so finally it exposes to the internet actually. It is almost related to front end actually.
Okay. What is node affinity?
No, sir, no idea.
Okay. What is readiness and liveness flow?
It is like it tells us whether container is ready to restart or not. It tells the information actually, readiness and the liveness. So based on that only we'll start our container, start our application.
What is role?
Role I don't have.
What is cluster role binding?
No, sir, no idea of it.
So in using Kubernetes command, I need to log in the container. What is the command that?
Log into the container.
I log in the container, not the Docker command. I'm telling about Kubernetes command. Using Kubernetes command to log in. What is the command?
This describe, I think, kubectl describe.
So what is the command to check my pod status?
Kubectl get pods.
So my node is, if I need to check, my node is not responding. So how you are going to check and how you are going to resolve it?
If our node is not responding, we'll check our cluster is running perfectly or not. So once we go through like a kubectl get mode, so whether it is running or not, we'll check our whether it is backend problem or front end problem. So we'll check our completely. We should check in our cluster only. So we'll check logs also. Like what is the problem will be there.
What is the command to check the logs of the container?
Pod or container. Kubectl logs -f that pod name.
So I want to delete. If my pod is deleted, so is it running again, or it will be permanently deleted?
If any other, it gets triggered already because of our control manager. it creates a one replica automatically.
Why the describe command using for that in kubectl? What is the purpose of the describe command?
Describe, actually we can see this container details and network IP addresses and all we can see through describe command. kubectl describe and contain, if you give container or body, we can see these details like how many containers are running, like all these details.
So my deployment file I have it. So what is the command to apply that?
kubectl-f and that deployment file, that path.
Okay. What is the kind and tolerance?
No sir, no idea on it.